Welcome back to Varsity College Football, your new home for college football and only college football. And today, the talk of the town, the Tennessee Volunteers and the NCAA, doing it again, trying to regain power when they are slowly losing it and can't handle it, coming after Tennessee with all this NIL jazz that they started themselves. But basically, quick catch up real quick. They came out and nothing official had gotten to Tennessee yet. And the chancellor basically was just like, this is a bunch of crap. Like, we're not doing this, and bashed them. And plus, the Spire Collective isn't even affiliated with the University of Tennessee, or it's affiliated. It's not a part of Tennessee, but it makes zero sense because they're not employed. Like I said, they're not breaking rules. All the stuff that happened beforehand with the whole Nico thing was correct with state laws. It didn't even violate any of the NIL deals or any of the NIL rules that the NCAA had in place at the time. Because if you notice, the NCAA is changing NIL stuff day by day. It's just like they're throwing a new dart at the dartboard as much as they can and continually going. So basically, the whole thing is they're trying to retroactively like make these rules. They're trying to go back and charge people for rules at the time that were correct, because they're changing them. They're trying anything they can to try to gain power back. They did Florida and Florida State, a little bit of stuff. Nothing really went to court. This is going to, like I said, possible tipping point, like for the new future of college football. This might make things come even faster. And the NCAA, you are about like, this might be brutal for you. This might be brutal. Basically, Plowman, the chancellor, said, these are factually untrue and procedurally flawed. Neither the collective nor student athletes broke any rule and guidance document as they existed at the time. Basically saying the NCAA is accusing the collective, not actually Tennessee, but they're affiliated with Tennessee, but they're not employed by Tennessee. So it makes no sense. Like, if you want to compete in this new era of NIL, everyone that is doing it is basically following what Tennessee is trying to do, or Tennessee kind of started. That was like kind of the first one started this. Everyone's doing this. If they're coming after Tennessee, they're going to try to come after everybody. And that's where they're trying to gain the power, is back with this. But Tennessee's ready for war. They are going to swing back, and it's going to be a stronger side than the NCAA. The NCAA is not, you're not really crap anymore, dude. Like, no one respects you either at all. Everyone hates you. I call you the NCAA. Made this little meme thing right here. I thought that was pretty funny. But basically, I mean, even Plowman said the implication of the NCAA enforcement staff's approach to date goes beyond our institution, basically saying, look, they're coming after us. They're going to come after you too, which is correct. This is how they're basically changing these rules to try to go back and charge people who were correct at the time within the rules, so they can try to gain any sense of power back. The NCAA is putting their hand in a cookie jar that they can't get out of, and there's a rattlesnake in that cookie jar. And the bite from the rattlesnake is this, and it's going to be the tipping point. It's not going to kill the NCAA, but this is the bite that's going to put the venom in, if I'm correct. Venom, not poison. But Tennessee, like I said, they're ready for war. Even politicians have chimed in. You had a politician tweet about it, basically saying the NCAA is bogus. Now you already have the Tennessee Attorney General, who came in today, Jonathan Skrmetti, filed suit against the NCAA over its NIL recruiting ban. Basically, the last time stuff like got crazy like this was when they did the transfer portal stuff, and it kind of just stopped, and they were like, look, they put a restraining order or whatever on it, and I don't know all the legal terms and stuff, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know law crap. I've been reading through some of this, and if you've ever seen the movie Good Burger, I'm kind of like Ed. If you've ever seen it, he gets the document from his friend, and he goes, I know some of these words after looking over it for a long amount of time. But basically, just like, the craziest part about this, too, is Charlie Baker, the NCAA head, wants to create this new subdivision stuff that people really haven't been pushing out yet, that he started in like December and November, talking about forming a new FBF subdivision where the schools can directly pay players. So he's like charging against this whole, they're overlapping themselves trying to gain power. They don't even know what the hell they're doing, and it's going to cause their demise even faster. Like, if this makes zero sense. This will probably end up going to court like big, and the NCAA is going to get smacked. That's what's going to happen. You're screwed. You're the devil, NCAA. You had a grip on this sport for a long time, but this is probably going to be the tipping point. At some point, like I said, these are going to get challenged in court when all the schools are finally like, look, they're doing this to them. Why are you going to get mad at us for something everyone's doing? First off, when we did it, it was fine. You're the one who changed the rules. First off, you're the one who brought all this jazz into the world. What are we doing? And then, I mean, on top of that, like I said, this will probably be the tipping point because there's a lot of stuff going. We all talk about. I'm going to spin this real quick into something else about the future of college football. In 2 to 3 years is when I think we're going to get the structure and everything of the new era of college football. Like right now, we've called this the new era. This is the Wild West era of college football. This is not the new era. We're still trying to figure out the new era, and this is going to start it. This will be the tipping point, like I have right there, because shout out to Vodka Veritas for pointing these things out. In 2026 is when a lot of things are going to change, or even a little bit before, and this might speed it up. So Mountain West media deal expires, 2-year exemption. The Pac-2 teams are going to have to figure their crap out. ESPN deciding if they want to opt into the ACC media deal. The college football playoff agreement expires, so we may only have a 12-team playoff for 2 years, if you didn't know that. Florida State wanting to get out of the ACC, they probably will. And then the NLRB case against USC, which basically whoever this entity is he said a 98% win rate. And they basically don't bring cases that they don't believe they're not going to win. And if they win this, it'll say that USC players qualify as employees, which will basically be a domino that will start across the country where we will start to see players become employees. And then you also have Johnson versus the NCAA, which he says most likely will be concluded by then, whether or not players in revenue generating sports such as football and basketball are employees, and then potentially rule on the legality of the NCAA's ban on players who have been paid to play sports, who can play sports in college, something that have been a part of the NCAA's rules since it's been created. So, and that's not it. There's also the House versus the NCAA, which he says likely will come to a conclusion. They're taking to the courts to strike down the prohibition against allowing conferences from paying athletes. So basically, the SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey, and the new Big Ten commissioner, who's not new now, but he is new, Tony Petitti, they basically don't want this subset to pay players directly through the new creation of a subdivision. They're not against the paying of players. They just don't like the subdivision that completely separates what we have now of the big schools. They kind of just want themselves. I mean, obviously, like I said, but the incomes, like, there's so much disparity in money between these conferences. The SEC and Big Ten are eventually going to branch off. And I think this is the very beginning of the future of college football, what we're about to see here. And the NCAA is at the tipping point of losing all of its power, and they have no idea what to do. So they're just tripping over themselves. Tennessee, beat the hell out of them. Go Big Orange. Ruin them, baby. Let's go Vols.